tell, then you see the road. I'm out to my soul into the size whenever the smoke clear out of my face and my picture perfect. Do it. All of that green together, the truth, yeah. Tell you the
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the fifth part of, What If My Little Pony Meets Ben 10. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of JBoy44 on fanfiction.net. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Rainbow Dash was currently taking out the trash holding her nose closed as she said, "Oh f no. What did we eat for leftovers gone bad to stink that bad? May not hurt a human but this is horse nose." She threw it away then quickly went in to wash repeating, "Filthy filthy filthy." Pinkie Pie blinked and said, "That is something I would have expected from Rarity." Dashy said, "Don't remind me." Later on when it was night time the lights went out and Megan screamed running down the hallway in her green nightgown, "My night light is OFF, she said using her horn for light. Dashy in black small top and black night short stretched and said, "So is my white noise machine looks like the power went out. Half pint." Pinkie Pie walked out white shirt with a heart on it, white pajama pants with hearts on them, and bunny slippers. "Tell me about I was binge watching anime on my phone. I can't go to sleep without that." Fluttershy walked out in just a pink robe as she said, "And I am not sleeping in this heat without AC. My fur is just a fluffy." She was clearly covered in sweat and wiping her forehead as she added, "What it's true, every pony but Megan were thinking something else." Rarity walked out curlers in her hair a blue nightgown to just above her knees as she put a hand on her head, "The weather is perfect outside so it's not weather related." Applejack walked out white tank top and super short shorts as she put a hand on her peach and said, "Ya's making a point sister." Finally Twilight who had her hair in a ponytail a neck pill on her neck, white night skirt, black pajama pants as she stretched, "What Fluttershy understands at our size you can't sleep flat." The purple and yellow sisters high-fived. Megan looked confused while hugging Dashy's leg. Dashy crossed her arms and muttered, "Stupid anthills." Rarity looked down and said, "My cats are way smaller than elephants," she said covering herself in shame. AJ rolled her eyes and said, "My digs are proud nothing to complain about." Pinkie Pie looked at her, "Good for you I have bats. Plus yours are firm and muscular doesn't really count. But back to the matter at hand something fish is up. And Mom and Dad are out of town so I say we investigate you know Ben already is." Before long the seven sisters were walking around with flashlights only for them to tie and Twilight said, "I just put in new batters in here. Something is draining power." Megan had her horn glowing shaking behind Applejack she was jumping from older sister to older sister a lot. They then heard a creepy sound and they saw it a cyborg chupacabra sucking energy from a power substation. Megan screamed, "Kill it with fire." It heard that and turned running only for Twilight to horn beam it dead as she said, "Laser works fine now freaky creatures." The other former element said, "Onimo." They then continued their track looking around when a net fell on them and Megan screamed firing a mana beam up blasting the net apart as the six older ones turned to see the Saturdays. Fluttershy said, "So is this how you greet everything or cryptid hunters just having an off night? Because we are classed as aliens well Megan was born here so she is a cryptid but you are going to have to go through us." Zack held his hands out and said, "Sorry we were hunting those chupacabra borgs." Fiskerton then said something. The yellow mare adjusted her robe as she said, "Your ape man is a perv. I just get night sweats." Rainbow Dash was looking between Doc and Drew's Saturdays as she asked, "Yeah you were probably looking for Ben but sorry we haven't run into him yet." Also Altered Animals screams Onimo. Pinkie Pie meanwhile was petting Zon going, "Dinosaur." Komodo then appeared out of nowhere making Megan jumped up onto Twilight's back in a moment shaking. The purple sister said, "Megan I saw you knock out an army and handle a super villain why so scared now?" Rarity removed her curlers as she said, "Twilight darling it's the night. Time of darkness, and who knows what Anemo is planning. In a moment the light on the moon turned red as Twilight shivered at it. Drew was about to ask, but Dashi held a hand out. Wait for it. In a moment Twilight's horn went green light with dark black bubbles in it, and dark magic allergy. It's seasonal. Don't ask us, we don't have a clue. Drew smiled as Doc said, this one time it was magic. But science is clearly involved. Applejack sighed as she let out a flat, y'all realize by mixing both the rules of both can be bent to the point of almost breaking. And rights now my money is on it being some king of bring the dead back thing. Zack spotted one of the cyborged cryptids and his eyes glow, making its eyes glow under the metal as he said, she's right, I am hearing its orders. Anemo needs power to bring back our ghost. There was gasps. Elsewhere, Ben was in Anemo's base having followed the energy as Buzzshock, where he saw Arghost raising in his new body, roaring as the Loch Ness monster head looked at him and he said, Anemo. What is the meaning of this? The doctor coughed and said, thanks to Mr. Tennyson we missed our first mark for the ritual. So I had to wait a few years for it to happen again, and of course you're going to rot. I did the best I could do. That is when Arghost smelled, someone other than you here cryptid. He then breathed fire from or the head hand, making Ben roll out and hit his dial to become the fully bloomed swampfire, and he went ultimate to fire off his firebombs, making a large blast enough for the rest to head to it. But in the air Arghost was unhurt, laughing it off as he flew through it. Dragon parts dear bow, I am fireproof, I most admit the makeover has its uses, he said, looking to the badly burned Anemo below. Now come along boy, you are need for the next phase. The Anticore's eyes glow as the mutated cyborg cryptids charged Ben, making quickly change to Echo Echo and Multiple to scream them away as he hit his dial to go ultimate. He made the disc Multiple to handle them as he hovered. I know how this works, by dawn you most take a life to replace you or return to the grave, but it won't happen. That is when the siblings and Saturdays arrived to see Arghost roaring in his revived state as the mutant cryptids showed up. Zack make his eyes glow, turning some to his side. I kept mine, so makes sense he would keep his, he said, making the two halves of the army fight. Fluttershy meanwhile walked over to the burned Anemo and said, yeah, no saving those arms and legs. 2 brains not better than 1. Above ultimate Echo Echo was blasting away Arghost's flames and the mutant undead cyborg Yeti himself. Keep a distance and keep him away from other people, he repeated to himself. Below, the now divided and wearing against each other army of mutated cryptid was raging. Doc Saturday used his power glove to punch away an Arghost side one. Too bad there isn't enough light to work your fire's word. Drew swung her sword to slash a mutant. The woman smiled, still a sword honey. Still a sword. Zon was roaring, grabbing on to the back of one and biting it. Komodo appeared out of nowhere and bite one on the leg. Fiskerton was punching them while speaking, ha 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 geet thee gotta ha lot. Fluttershy ducked to avoid a claw strike as she repeated, he said, how about magic light to power up the fire sword? Twilight and Rarity looked to each other, then down at Megan as they made their horns glow bright to fill the area with light, a lot of it. Drew smiled as she shot a fireball from her blade at the enemy army, and she smiled, magic is the answer, she said happily, looking her husband. Rainbow Dash was using her speed to avoid the mutants, so gross. Not touching. Got flying up into the fight above. Let's just do like Big Brother said and outlast him till dawn. Applejack was punching one of the mutants, sending it away. Yeah, that's easier said than done. Pinkie Pie was pulling out random heavy objects from her mane to throw at the mutants as he said, what the hell even is this? Zack was using the claw to deliver a shock claw to one of the anti-core-sided mutant cryptids. I know, right? What's left of my core powers are in overdrive here. Too many minds to clam down and get to our side. Too much crazy form Arghost. Munya then jumped down and opened his mouth to spit webbing at the heroes, roaring as his spider limbs on his back moved around erratically. One of the spider mutants' eyes was green, the other orange, showing both cores struggling for control. Zack held out the claw and said, Munya, look at you. Your mutation has progressed to the point you can't go back to human. In fact, you are becoming more spider. You will be a giant spider, probably losing your humanity. I know you don't want to be a bug. And you know I am not the cur who has cursed you this way. In a moment the former human roared and giant Zack sighed in the war fighting the Arghost-sided mutations as he roared out, Arghost, you cursed me. I trust you and you made me a bug. Everyone jumped at hearing him speak. Above, Ben was using the multiplying disc to shoot sound waves around Arghost, but the mutant laughed it off and used the dragon hand to fill the area with fire. Before long the disc burned and belted as the burned Arghost fly forward roaring in rage. Only for ultimate echo to make more disc to blast him back into the air as he said, yep, fighting a Ravenette Frankian Yeti thing. Under the light of a red moon as a war of monsters happens below us. How the hell is it not Halloween night? Below Onimo was running as the brain in the jar said, you did not get payment for this job. The doctor looked up and said, brother. Yes we did, he told me where his last stash of treasure was. We simple just need to dig it up at the remains of Weird World. And bam, we have enough money to buy all the parks we need on the black market to make you a new robotic body to control. That will be up to your specs. But before long he was knocked out by a rock hitting him in the back of the head and leaning against a tree throwing a rock and catching it was Jessica who smiled, what didn't think me and him were forgotten about did you? Now let's go back to the action up the way. Ben was forced to land as he timed out, Arghost roared as he went to breath fire only for Ben to mana bubble himself as he said, not defenseless while timed out. Arghost then said, when you are in the afterlife in my place Mr. Tennyson tell young Mstr Zack Saturday's grandparents greetings and bienvenue, he spoke as he used his arm to smash the mana bubble. Only for Ben to hit the die land become blocks who quickly rapid-fired blocks at the guy's face as he said, not happening. Ben jumped back and changed his shape to that of a wall to rapid-fire more blocks to knock him back. The dragon head arm roared and went to breath fire, but that is when it happened a block hit and broke the stitching on that limb making it fall off lifelessly. Ben returned to normal block's shape and smirked, you ain't got no firepower no more buddy. He then hit the dial to become jet ray and fire optic blasts making the Franken monster fly above. Sadly jet ray was quickly and appeared behind him and fired on the left wing blasting it off. The monster fell down below face first struggling to get up as he said, why aren't we the wise guy? In a moment Munya walked up roaring as his spider legs hit the legs cutting them off leaving Arghost with his natural arm. With he used to punch his former henchman, what a bad taste you have put in my mouth Munya. Fiskerton moved out of the way of the flying spider thing and said, dead eyes he there a and nay there awea. Fluttershy was avoiding more claws and whatever they had as she said, he is giving the 1 hour till morning call. 1 hour till it's over everyone. Arghost was using his arm to dragon himself along as he said, no. I will not go back. Ben then hit the dial to become clockwork and he said, want to bet, he then sent out a wave and in a moment the day was coming, didn't have the break for the focus that takes but now I do. As the day came Arghost turned to ash laughing made as his army stopped all their eyes turning orange. The cure was in charge. Ben then fired a time ray at the knocked out Munya returning him to human form and more human looking. I rewind his timeline to make him so young he never got his spider DNA injection. So he is human and powerless. Now for all this Franken cryptids. Zack line them up so I can just do this with one beam. As the street lights came on the Certids lined up to be restored to normal by time being turned back for them. The night was over the battle won. In space Carl was in the plumber uniform walking with the cuffed Vilgax as he said, I am dealing with you instead of shopping for my daughter-in-law's baby shower. I am just transferring you to Incarsecan as the free roam of the null void was deemed too easy for you to escape form. Vilgax laughed, I remain undefeated by you all no matter what. Carl pointed to the cuffs he was in only for the squid to say, I draw a breath so I do not know defeat. The unicorn held his hands up and said, okay you are just crazy because last time I checked you were beaten in battle by both my dad and my son was just 10 years old. You can't lose a fight to a 10-year-old and make a boost like that. As soon as they got onto the station where was 80 6677 and 88. In a moment Carl's wrist shield turned on as the Princess Frog said, gee Mr. Tennyson no need we are after Vilgax and plumbers don't have any say in this prison. You are just dropping off Vilgax and leaving, that's all you can do. Not that BEN10's dad can do much of anything with a shield. In a moment Carl hit a button making Vilgax's cuffs come off. No, and you are right, have fun. He turned to leave, covering himself in a mama dome to get to the ship and take off. On the way back home Carl was not shocked to hear Vilgax escape the prison. However, moments later his ship was shot. He charged up to the controls and turned off autopilot to take the wheel as he pulled off a video of the attacker, an incursion drone ship. Drones, I hate them, he said, hitting a button making a large burst of light come out of the back of the ship. He was struggling, but he was bringing it down in the Anner system, landing the ship on the webbing that connected planets. The drones flow by looking at it and their AIs say it as a wreck and flow off. Carl sighed in relief as he hit a button, plumber down, calling back up. Nearest red spot, pick up. A voice did pick up and said, Scout, who am I talking to? The Anthro said, Carl Tennyson, a unicorn. You? The other plumber said, you would call it werewolf. The dad chuckled, well, aren't we a fantasy duo? He got up saying, I was shot down by a drone ship, I brought it down in your system's webbing. Also, you all need to dust your system. On his planet, Scout said, yeah, I don't know if I have the replacement parts. The webbing is used as natural bridges we travel by, we have space suits for the likes like me. But no space ships. He put on a helmet and said, I'll come to you to scout out the damage and work on repairs if we can before signaling for a pickup. Carl nodded as he said, okay, not like I have much choice, I'll leave the beacon on, he said, flipping a stick, so you can just follow me. Scout then said, got it. He pulled out a box and walked off, running to the webbing on his planet, when a girl who was a member of Frankenstrike's race said, oh look, Mr. Weird Dog who always wears his club uniform is up to something. Scout rolled his eyes as he said, let me use your words. A member of the club crashed in our webbing and is stuck. As he is not from around here, I am sure everyone will thank me for helping him fix his ship so he can leave. Another passerby said, well, he is nice enough to call for help instead of scaring the children with his freaky monsterness, so at least he nice, but yes, go help him, he said, moving his hands forward, go help him be out of here. The werewolf climbed the webbing and was soon in space, as using it to grab and keep on it as he moved towards the downed space ship where Carl in helmet was waiting, waving his hand. Scout came to the side of the ship, blow part of the left thruster and right ring off. It can fly without the thruster but would be slower. It's the wind that is a problem on landing and steering, he said, looking at it. I am sure we can rig up a way hide turns good. Scout used his box to take pictures before Carl nodded and Scout turned around, going back to his planet. He then walked into a hardware store run by a mummy who looked to him, already heard you trying to help an outsider leave, I can help with that. I'll 5 you 25 off. Scout showed the picture, he just needs the wing of the ship fixed. The mummy then held his chin as he said, yeah. We have small airship wing parts in section 5. You can probably rig it up, he'll be making wide turns but he will be able to go. Scout nodded and saluted saying, thank you. Meanwhile in space, Carl was using his shield by his ship. He was close enough to a planet for gravity with allowed him to knock away weird purple spiders with his shield and raise mana walls to block them from behind. As he grabbed his blaster at his side to shoot at them. If I didn't need this helmet I would use normal mama blast, but no, have to go gun. I hate guns. But before long he was able to drive them off as Scout came back with the parts as he said, okay, let's get to work, shall we? An hour later the ship had a makeshift new wing and was patched. Carl nodded and saluted as he got in to fly it home. Scout saluted as he took off. Now flying, Carl removed his helmet and hit a button and said, Sandra, it's me. One of my thrusters is out and had to patch the wing, going to be a few days late thanks to moving slower. Sandra answered, then you will miss Jessica's baby shower to bad, she said, folding cloths, but they will understand your reasons. Say, how did it break anyway? Carl then sighed, drone shot me, he said, firing a blast to blow up a drone ship in front of him, and also tell Ben Vilgax already escaped prison. His wife rolled her eyes and said, yeah, we already figured, honey. She flapped her wings to hit a sheet on a line while she folded a shirt. I mean, honestly, he won't be happy till he is dead. Meanwhile Lucy and Jessie were hugging Ben, telling him, "Congratulations on a job well done." Lucy patted the unicorn's back, "Mermain grand babies were welcome or mermaras. We don't care either way, but thank you for doing your duty, Ben," she saluted. Ben blinked and adjusted his jacket. "Yeah, you guys are sending me a lot of positive energy over me getting my wife your daughter PRGN, and I do not know what to do with it," he said flatly. Jessie smiled as she hugged him. "We don't care. Just want the grandbabies." Ben got out of it and said, "Yeah, I need to go get some things now." "Jessica has gone pickle crazy," he said. "I saw her dipping on in strawberry pudding." Meanwhile at her and Ben's house Jessica was in a pink sundress eating a pickle she was dipping in blueberry pudding. "Why did I have to run out of strawberry? That tastes way better than blueberry." In Undertown Megan Tennyson was moving on a scooter doing delivers for their neighbor Mr. Bauman. Why? Because she wanted to get some money to buy her big brother and his wife a baby shower gift. She then got off to check a package and noticed something. Her last package wasn't the fish. What happened? "Wait, that pointy-head guy I ran into, he had one in the same box and we dropped. We must have mixed them up." That was when Svan walked up wrist out as he said, "Why yes we did, little girl. So would you kindly hand over mine?" Megan blinked and said, "Do you have the fish I need to deliver? Because I need to be paid." The alien reached and grabbed out the fish and said, "I guess." They then traded and Megan smiled and scooted away to deliver them. The alien blinked and said, "Well, it was a little girl." He then walked off. After dropping off the fish, Megan took off and opened a trunk on her scooter, pulling out the dwarf star as she walked into Max's plumbing with a smile saying, "I am melding kid." Later that night Siphon walked up, his outfit damaged, he was black and blue, he was following Megan. "I will kill her and her family for this," but in a moment he saw her hug Ben and go, "Big brother." He then backed away, hands in the air, "Or I could leave her be to not get hurt many more than I already am." He walked away scared, backing up slowly before running off screaming, "Tennyson's everywhere." A few months later, Jessica was in her bed smiling. Next to her was a little baby anthro unicorn. Red mane and tail, brown fur, and his little eyes open to show left gold eye like hers, right one was green. His name was Kenny. Jessica smiled. She was in green nightgown, the baby boy all cuddled up in a little blanket sucking on a pacifier as she hugged him. Her baby weight was gone thanks to her biological. She smiled, but the moment was cut into as Lucy ran in and grabbed Kenny as Jessie grabbed the worn-out Jessica. Lucy then said, "Invasion need to flee," they said, carrying them out through a portal. Twilight opened up. In space was the rest of the Tennyson family, Gwen, Kevin and the boyfriends. Megan was shaking. "It's horrible, those frogs are stopping Big Brother from transforming because the bad monkey sold them DNA repair guns." Alan held his hand out. "I had to run or be depowered." Manny looked at his hands, counting them. "Yeah, all 3 reals and 1 fake." Helen wasn't fast enough, she wanted to distract, but damn, she got depowered. Rook then spoke up as he said, "And worst part is the rays seem to force Ben back to human. They are setting up a wide array of them on their ships to bathe the planet in the light." Ben was leaning against the wall as he looked at his watch and said, "The planet is Omnitrix proof as long as they have it. But the scanner still works." He then turned into Bullfrag as he adjusted his glasses. Max then spoke up, "While I like the plan, Ben, you forget the repair beams would overload life form lock." Jessica sighed as her mother sat her down and handed her the crying Kenny. "That's not the plan. I feared this day, but we have no choice. Ben, go do it. Turn a Tia against her mother with your charms." Everyone jumped, looking horrified. Ben said, "We have no choice. She can sound down their alerts for us to call the anodite site to energy to matter fry the ships." Bullfrag hit his collar and said, "Grandma warped me. I am so sorry for this." Before long he was teleported in and walked till he saw a Tia who pulled a gun out. "Okay, who are you? No incursion takes care of themselves enough to be that beefcakey." Ben sighed as he pictured his wedding ring on his hand, before sighing, "Well, you got me, but it can be fun doing what Daddy doesn't want." She blushed as he flexed as he said, "You caught me. It's me, Ben. But I was thinking you're a big girl, you are smarter and more froggy than your daddy." You should be running the show. Not him. Atia was blushing as she waved the gun. Oh, stop it, you are making me blush. I am just naturally cold-bloody. The frog guy said, so listen, because I am not only going to make this offer once. We want our planet back. If you turn off the alarms, my grandma can easily get in range to turn those spotlights below to mana. Then I can change and my friends don't have to worry about being depowered. And we can handle those mutant way bigs your dad's got the crab using. We fight, and when we win you arrest your dad. You get the throne. Atia held her chin and said, so I use BEN10 to overthrow my father. That sounds a bit too easy. I'll tell you what counter-offer. I turn off the alarms and get a strike team to overthrow daddy myself. While you fight the way bigs. It's an honor thing. Bullfrag held out his hand and said, it's a deal, good looking, lead the way. On the ship. Some time later they got a message and Vendora appeared and clapped, making the repair beams vanish. Jessica petted Kenny saying, it's not your daddy's fault. He did what he had to do, I swear, little Kenny. She kissed his head. Rainbow Dash saluted as she said, Big Brother needs a big peach reward for this. OSHT. OF. Stop cursing in form of the baby, god damn it, Dashy. She covered her mouth and hit her head against the wall. Ben then got a message, Atia wants to be part of the arrest team for her dad. Rook Allen, Manny. Parais, line up and get warped, you'll be going with her. On the ship, Ben was jumping out of an airlock and hitting his Dale the first time gave him a normal outfit instead of the uniform. The second time he hit it, he morphed to way big. He then hit it once more to go ultimate and throw energy disc as he said, Rook Copper, everyone else who wants to fight get the crab, I already got help for this one the way your grandpa did. In a moment Eunice in a ship appeared firing a beam at a way bad saying, yes, the warp beam works, null voided. I'll handle the rest of the world, you handle this town. She flew off. The way bads tackled Ben, tackling down as he said, oh way most evil cheat. He then fly up through them and look down holding his hands out to fire off beams, but I am cheating too with ultimate, so get bent way bats. Meanwhile on a ship. The Incursion's king was being cuffed as he smiled at his daughter, you made a deal with the enemy to overthrow me, I am so proud of you, honey. You make me so proud. Well, take me to the cell so I can read how my daughter runs this show. Own a ship. Alan was throwing fireball at Dr. Psychoboss. As Rook used the shield mode of the prototool to block lighting. The doctor began to charge a shot and in a moment Manny jumped down closing his skull so his lighting shocked his own brain. Now his kind had evolved that power and this won't do much harm, just knock him out. With it did with now make jailing him all the more easy. Rook smiled as he said, well that was easy, now let's get him out of here and into a cell. Meanwhile outside. The way bad stopped acting like an army and more like a pack of wild beast ferally charging. With was making it easier for ultimate way big to fight. He simple flow up and as Ty hit each other they start smashing each other. As he watched the bad guys fight and handle each other he landed and timed out saying, I am not need here anymore. He then walked over and spotted the shaking Will Harang who moments ago was congulating the new Incursion overlords. As he smirked, you realize you crossed it, you betrayed the planet to be rid of me. And it didn't work. You lost everything, your credit, your audience, your job. And now I can do whatever I want to you and they will throw me a parade. The man gulped as Ben was looking through his aliens as he said, and I am a right-crossed stallion. I should have been celebrating my son's BRTH today but instead this happened. My newborn had to live through this. And also smile, you are live on the net thanks to the Levin sisters. Kevin was behind Silver Spoon and Diamond Tiara as he yelled out, do it man, do it. Do it. Do it. Silver Spoon was checking her phone, the internet wants you to do it, Ben. Do it. Do it. Do it. The other sister said, yeah man, do it. Come on, stop teasing the viewers and do it. Will was shaking as he backed away, maybe I got a little out of hand. Ben then growled yelling at him to shut up, he then turned into blocks and smashed hammer hands together, I should geld you so you can't be a father. And you know what I think I will. Will. Look away, children. Kevin covered his sister's eyes as Silver Spoon looked up and a scream was heard only for it to turn back to them. Will was on the ground shaking, having pissed himself. The ground beside him was smashed. Ben looked at him, but you just aren't worth crossing the line, Will. You are too sad and pathic to be worth it. You sad little pile of CRP. So remember this tomorrow, you only live because BEN10 says you are too pathic of a loser to bother with. He then walked off as Blocks and Will passed out and Kevin sniffed and, yes people, he just SHT his pants and we got it to you live as the invasion ends in Earth victory, he said smiling as the null void beams handled the way bats. Tiara walked over in front of Will. Now do all those who listened to Will all this years since he betrayed the planet, you know you were wrong. Let the world know you are sorry and you are not like this pile of CRP in a basket. Hashtag sorry I was an idiot BEN10 in the comments. If that isn't the #1 hashtag by the end of the day, people don't love their planet, she said saluting as Kevin absorbed stone to hang a globe. He made his hand into the shot. Silver Spoon then smiled and said, love your planet. Love it. Meanwhile, as the incursion ships were leaving, Ben was standing as he timed out. Before him was Atia, beside him was Jessica holding Kenny protectively as Ben said, okay, the deal is all done now, leave. Atia rolled her eyes as she said, yeah I am going, but Ben, if you ever want to lose the pony face and leave the money, just become bullfrag and call me. Her tongue then stretched and hit Ben's lips as he jumped back and bent over to throw up. Atia left as Jessica shot her a death glare. This is not how a first day of motherhood is supposed to go, Green Bee. Kenny meanwhile just passed out, unaware of what was going on, and cuddled into his mother's shoulder while making cute little pony sounds in his sleep. Ben finished throwing up and pulled out a toothbrush and started brushing his mouth. Thank goodness Pinkie keeps toothbrushes, everyone, in case of toothbrush emergencies. Like this, he said, scrubbing his mouth out. Pinkie Pie car wheeled in and smiled at Kenny. There is the little pony. Gee, what's wrong, Ben? Jessica then said, the frog princess stole a kiss. Pinkie Pie bent over and threw up too as she said, oh, that's nasty. Later on, when they were all finally home, Jessica put Kenny in his crib for the first time and smiled, kissing his sleeping head. Welcome home, my little pony, she said, holding his little handle for a moment with a smile. The next day, everyone was over to see the foal. Megan hovered to look up at Kenny, now dressed in green one-piece footy pajamas. She pointed and said, baby. Verdona used her hair to pick up and pull Kenny into her arms, and she kissed his head. Hi, my little pony, I am great Gram. She tickled his chin, making him giggle and wiggle all around. Aw, so cute, she said, nuzzling the little guy. An action he returned out of instinct. Ben smiled as he said, and this is how we are ending this chapter, everyone. With my son's cuteness. Pinkie Pie looked sad as she hugged her brother's neck. That was my line. I break fourth wall. She then whispered out, see you next time for another little filler arc. Meanwhile, above Bellwood, a city on a cloud was appearing. Cloudsdale was now on Earth. Meaning more old friends, some new challenges and all that stuff, but that is a chapter for another day. The invasion was over. Kenny was born and on the planet. Will SHT his pants live on camera when Ben confronted him. A few days later, Rainbow Dash was in the plumber base, red-faced, a simple bank robber. I stop. And my birth parents were there cheering me. I mean, she was red and flushed. They are so embarrassing. I do one thing, they cheer louder as can be. I mean, it's why I love being an adopted member of the Tennyson family. Adopted parents and grandparents to scream go Dashy every time I do something cool. Pierce, who she was talking to, turned her around to see her BRTH parents dressed like their human counterparts. Their jaws dropped and crying at the statement of Dashy loving her adopted parents more. As they ran, Dash turned and grabbed her boyfriend, shaking him. Why don't you stop me before I open my mouth and FSHT up, goddammit. The half-alien then said, there isn't enough hours in the day for it. Dashy stopped, blinked and sighed, good point, I am an idiot. She ran off yelling, MOM dad, wait. I just don't want all this smothering. Before they could say anything she had to tackle them as what looked like cannon bolt and one that was grey, white and red smashed into each other. The normal one went ultimate, knocking the other one back as he de-rolled. Give it up, albedo. The other cannon bolt unrolled and said, and admit you an inferior life form was better suit to the Omnitrix than a Galvan. Never. He hit his Dale, becoming a white tiger version of Wrath, and charged. Ultimate cannon bolt turned, letting the tiger slash at his plating and point to Dashi. Yeah, take this family drama elsewhere. This guy mistakenly turned himself into a copy of me to try and use my powers for evil. It's one of those days. He then rolled and moved backwards, knocking back albedo. The tiger was now crushed, making it become a red Big Chill and phase through the wall as Ben unrolled and turned back, becoming Big Chill before going ultimate as he said, "Oh no, you don't, faker." He flew through the wall. While trying to get her birth parents out, they passed by the princess and Windy gasped, but Dashi said, they tried to force Twilight to marry Blue, BLD highly illegal on this planet. So they be locked up. They lost quickly to Ben, who I remind you is fighting an evil double with almost all the same powers. Luna rolled her eyes and asked, evil double, so you are saying this one might strike me and my sister's royal hind ends if we attack? Bao jumped in shock and covered Dashi's ears as she removed them, saying, I was there. They then ran only to see what looked like albedo's armadillo charging drill hands out to strike at Terra Spin. The turtle's spinning shell was enough to hold back to drills as he said, get out of here. God red damn it. Dashi pushed her birth parents along as she said, you heard the good one, get a move on. They were now in the upper level by the door. To see Blukik and Dryba running around screaming. The blue mare Tennyson grabbed them and yelled out, what are you two screaming about? They are levels below us. Dryba put his hand up and said, remember when we restored Ben's use of the ultimates by mistake? It was because our replacement part for the repair of the Omnitrix used fill in for the proper crystal replace. The one we used was energized, allowing the function to work. Blukik then point out, and we bought it in bulk and this is the storage for it. Or in short, albedo wants the ultimates back. He is coming here. To this very room. So evil Ben is coming to smash our skulls. Sounds like it's scream-worthy to me, doesn't it to you? Dashi's eyes widen as she dropped them, and I lead my family right into it. Moments later her mom screamed, jumping into her husband's arms as a sonic blast knocked the door down. What appeared to be an Echo in a black suit and red instead of green walked in as he said, my clones will keep Tennyson busy for a while, so do tell me where is the crystals. Dryba then called out, never, you will never get them while we live. Blukik looked at him as he asked, what's this wee thing? The albedo timed out. He looked like Ben now, but red fur and eyes, white tail and mane. He growled as he pointed to them, where is the crystal? I will now ask twice, you inferior Galvans. Rainbow Dash was in front of her BRTH parents as he said, yeah, but they are the only Galvans in the room. Albedo roared, and in a moment he was heat blast, his version being black rocked and green fired with dial as he roared, what did you dare say, hybrid filth? Windy fainted into her husband's arms as Dashi said, hybrid filth dude, you are the same way, your default is still my brother. And so what, you get the ultimates, it's not going to fix you. You aren't just going to go gray matter and life form like yourself. If that is what you wanted, you would have already did it. Your sanity and mind have been rioting slowly ever since you put on your bootleg Omnitrix and became a clone. Before long they will be nothing left by a mindless savage. Albedo roared as he held his hand out to throw a fireball, but that is when Rainbow Dash appeared, poking the dial, timing him out. A moment later the unicorn albedo was hoof round housed in the jaw down, and you forget you are a clone of my brother, she said, hands on his hips. Albedo landed Ina draw as the Galvan screamed, and oh, that's where we keep them. In a moment albedo saw one fall out and slammed it into his watch, making it take on its new Ultimatrix look as he smiled, thank you Dashi. Moments later he changed, taking on the form of Ultimate Humongousaur without becoming the normal one first. His hands became Gatling guns as he said, I can go directly to Ultimate and form Ultimate to Ultimate. I have improved upon the Ultimates, thank you Dashi, he said, about to fire, but in a moment time stopped for him right as he fired. Behind him was Ben as clockwork as he said, I stopped time, get the hell out of here. the 5 ran out, and when they were gone time started as Ben as Atomic came in punching the ultimate back down through the floor. Ben said, "You will not get away Albedo, even with quicker changes. I know them all," he said, flying down with a green aura of light, "and I know how to counter them," he said as he quickly knocked down Ultimate Spider Monkey. Albedo landed and became Ultimate Big Chill. "You think I would be stupid enough to try and evolve that race? That's how you broke the prototype. I will not do such a stupid thing," he said, phasing into the floor to leave. Ben landed hovering like that before he said, "Oh, I know where you are going." He then moped to Jetray, "To save Azimuth I most go," he said, flying up and out of the base and into space, turning on life form lock as he made a hyperspace jump. Before long he was on Galvan Prime, just in time to see Albedo kicking down the door to Azmatha's lab. Inside Azmatha's lab 2 ultimate wraths were roaring. Albedo's was remaining calm as he slashed at Ben, while Ben said, "Let me tell you 5 things, Albedo. You say you are smarter, yet you are going for smash just as much as me. You say you just wanted to be a Galvan again. You could have life form locked yourself now. But you ain't. You haven't even used that race's form yet." 3-inch he necked before continuing. Ben's ultimate wrath said, "You are all talk. You are just a sad little man who first lived in the shadow of Azimuth, then mine, when you start wearing my faces." Albedo roared in rage. It was clearly getting to him. "Shut up," he said, going in for a claw strike, but Ben ducked and said, "Think for. You didn't even take advantage of it. You could have just used contacts and hair dye to walk right in and get the crystal. You ain't need to start a riot or attack me. You could have used stealth." Ben landed a knee strike to Albedo's gut, making him fall back as Ben said, "And finally, thing 5. If you think me and Azimuth haven't worked on what to do in case you attack, you are the biggest idiot in the universe." In a moment Azimuth popped up and fired a device that sent out a pulse. Moments later Albedo timed out and his Ultimatrix fell apart to his horror as Azimuth said, "My Omnitrix is grounded and protect form that yours was now." Meaning Ben just had to distract while I dug for the in case of Albedo ruin his staff rod. Yes, I called it that. Deal with it. Before Albedo could scream, an ultimate wrath had him by the head and he said, "Thank you Azimuth now. Albedo, my little copy man. You feeling lucky? Or will you be feeling claws in your liver?" The copy gulped and said, "Can't we just talk this out?" Azimuth then said, "No, my daughter could have been here." Ben stabbed now. Ben saluted and did so, making Albedo scream bloody murder, while Azimuth put on a pair of sunglasses and said, "Straight out of Galvan Prime." Ben looked and gasped. Azimuth memed. "He did it. No one will believe me." Later on, back on Earth. Ben was Crash Hopper getting a call for Mauve Riedel, and before she could talk he asked, "You know one of your pretty boys is having a ride along with your older boys?" Where Mauve Riedel was, she sighed for them to put the missile away. "Nos, and I was about to call about a missing child. I feel so silly now. Sorry and what not. But do bring them home. My older boys need a yelling for not asking to take a little brother out first." Ben watched as 3 Riedel brothers left. If only those 2 didn't get blacklisted for plumbers. But yeah, I am on it. They are in the Undertown area heading past Packmer's sponge store right now if you want to try and intersect them. He then hopped off as Mauve Riedel said, "Yeah, eyes will dose just that by." She hung up and got in the car. Before long in Undertown Mauve Riedel was speaking into a speaker, "Boyd and Octagon. You should have asked before taking one of your little brothers out. You in trouble for not asking first and making me worry." The 3 Riedel brothers hugged and cried scared as she got out, and the pretty boy said, "Dobie. My name is Dobie, short for dodecahedron." Ma petted his head. "Aw, you got yourself a nickname, that's cute. Now you too," she said, walking to them and said, "It seems like little Dobie had fun, so only complain is you had me worried as I thought one of my boys got kidnapped." She had her hands on her peach. The older brothers were shaking as Ben said, "Not to cut in, but as a parent myself I feel like I should remind you your sons are idiots. They don't have the brain cell to think to ask before doing anything." Mauve Riedel pointed to Ben and said, "Good point, wait, you's a parent?" Ben timed out and said, "Not just to the big chill babies," he pulled out a picture of him, Jessica and Kenny, bye to Kenny. 2. Ma Vriedel looked at it and said, "Aw, little critter has mix-matched eyes, those is the cutest ones." But yeah, Ben's, I guess you is right. I mean, my pretty boy didn't think either. So I can't be too mad about them not being able to do something that is impossible for them. It won't be right. Boyd and Octagon looked at each other. Boyd asked, "Octagon, what in tarnation is happening right now?" Octagon blinked. "I think Ben is making our punishment a lot less than it would have been. By calling us idiots." Boyd then called out, "Ben is right, Ma, we are idiots, giant idiots, the dumbest thing ever," he said, hugging his brother. Octagon nodded, point to Ben, "Why yes, Ben has always been a wise, smart man, Ma." Ma Vriedel walked over and pulled out half the guns from the truck and said, "You are not allowed to play with half your toys for a month." Boyd looked sad and crying while Octagon said, "We still have the other half, it'll be okay." Ma Vriedel petted her pretty boy that was found. The mother of all Vriedels said, "Okay, now Dobie looks like he was having fun, so he can continue to play with his older brothers by Ben." Ben then looked through his aliens becoming fast track and he said, "My work here is done." He then ran off happily. Dobie got in the car with Boyd and Octagon. As the youngest Vriedel said, "Ben seems nice, do we has a pa like him?" Boyd sighed and said, "A pa that is amazing and fun, yep we do, Pa Vriedel, he loved to make things explode." Dobie clapped. Octagon while driving said, "Yep. But one day our ma and pa got into a fight and decided the best way to handle it was to spend some time apart. Now this was before the original Pretty Bobby was born and you were cloned. A few months before the original Pretty Boy, in fact. So our other brother and our only sister left with pa and we stayed with ma. As we didn't know you lot were coming, it seemed like a spare split of 3 Vriedels. Dobie then asked, "Oh, we ever going to see pa?" Boyd then looked back. "Sooner or later he'll get desperate enough to want to work with ma again, so sooner or later. Just don't know if it'll be the sooner or the later, you know. But let's not tells the other pretty boys. They ain't as mature of I can wait as you is, little brother." Dobie was now somehow in yellow shirt, red overalls with a yellow pocket with AD on it, and he said, "Yeah, because I am Dobie, not Pretty Boy." Octagon looked in the rear view mirror and blinked. How's did he change cloths that fast? Well, no point thinking on that. So who wants to go do donuts in an empty load while shooting some guns on the roof? The other two cheered and the driver said, "Then let's go then." In Undertown. Rarity was holding bags on her arms. She ran a little only business for fashion. Basically adjustment of outfits for a animal rise. They sent her images of an outfit and measurements and photo of them. She made a version of the outfit for them. She was currently being paid to make a fancy ball dress for a member of Humongousaurus species. It was a big order by default, as the order request max size. She was loading the fabric into her adopted dad's car to drive it home when she saw what looked like some kind of bipedal spider fighting Frankenstrike as it screamed, "Come on Ben, feed me. Feed me." Shot it right in my mouth. The alien said, "Oh, you rephrase that right F now," he said, stunned before timing out to slip form under it. "Wait, I am only getting electric aliens fill your energy field, you are doing this." The bug man smiled and held his chin. "Gee, I guess I am, so I can feed all I want off you, boy. Some come on, feed me right in the mouth. I just heard what that sounds like and I apologies." He then charged only for Ben to cover himself in a dome, playing victim like it hurt to be a monster to trick my grandpa. That's it, the magic dome let Ben slam down the dial to become a new alien. The alien had a round coral-like torso with lizard-like arms and legs, and coming form it was 3 snake heads with bulb-like eyes. As he no longer had magic, the dome vanished. The green scales and dial on the chest hissed as the first head said, "Meat," the second head said, "Snake," the final head said, "Pit." Phil backed away as he said, "The FIS, that ugly thing." Rarity was shaking as she said, "Gorgon." Like in all the horror stories I heard as a filly, she screamed, getting in the car to hide. She had nightmares about this monsters. They would turn victims to stone, drag them away, so when the spell ended they would be in a pit forced to be slaves. How did her brother get one as a transformation? In a moment Snakepit's eyes fired off beams hitting Phil, turning him to stone as he laughed. Max walked up stunned at what he saw. How did you get this transformation? The left head laughed as it started speaking. Why simple grandpa, you know that creepy castle that showed up form Equestria. The middle head said, I went exploring and found bones, lots of bones. The head on the inn, so the Omnitrix scanned it and I got many new aliens, most have been some kind of war there. As Ben timed out, Rarity rolled down the window and she said, and gave me a heart attack. She rolled it up and drove off to go about her business. Ben then looked through his aliens and said, I know the other guy is worst. He then turned into a pitch-black wyvern with red wing membrane, 7 red eyes and shark-like rows of teeth. As he flapped his wings he said, this guy's makes you hallucinate your worst nightmares. Call him Pterosaur. Now I have to get home. I am a family man now after all. By Grandpa, he said, flying through a crack out of Undertown. Max sighed as he returned to the base. Once he got there, Patelade walked up. Yeah, I heard what happened. Don't be too HRD on yourself, Max. He was your friend once, you just want to think he still was. That he could be saved. And Ben handled it. We just got him null voided before the stone beam wore off. With, by the way, how does a creature with turn you to stone powers go extinct anyhow? Max sighed as he sat down and he said, it's not that I was helpless, he absorbed energy weapon fire. By time I found an old school handgun with bullets he was gone. If Ben hadn't though to use his magic to block the field so he could take on a non-electric based race, this could have been bad. I feel useless. The Magister rolled his eyes and said, useless Max, that's crazy. I know it's not just coming form this. It is also coming form that little side-tracked adventure me and your granddaughter had with the robot pirates, isn't it? You were all alone, your grandchild out of sight, a problem you couldn't see unwrapping below the water. I get it. Well, not natural as my kind, it's you hatch you own your own, like with sharks. Well, sometimes older siblings watch your egg and give you a pep talk, but still. Took me a while to get it. The human sighed, yes, and now I can't act on my skills, I am too old to fight right, and my mind is slipping, my instinct didn't trigger fast enough to stop this, he said, arms crossed. The fish man then pointed to his head, yeah, but even if you're a jelly in the gut your head is still solid, cracked form, age and seeing so many weird, strange and sometimes downright horrible things, but it's still solid with years of knowledge and wisdom to share to help the young improve. Max got up smiling, you know you are right. I have only a short amount of time left in charge of Earth. After it's over I'll request transfer to the academy to teach. The fish man then said, good, also what's up with that Santa-looking transformation? Someone explain that to me. Meanwhile at Ben's house. Kenny was in a playpen happily stacking building blocks in a tower. While sucking on his pacifier, then he stopped, grunted, and his pacifier fell out of his mouth as he cried. Moments later Ben picked him up and sniffed. Oh, someone needs a new diaper, he said, walking off to change the little colt. Jessica smiled, watching happily. She smiled at it before she turned to see someone in their yard and point a flashlight at it. There was a guy with a flea head eating their trash as a large flea with a human head said, we've been spotted. The big bug brother grabbed the little one and ran off and she blinked. Later on in an alley. Maurice was on Sydney's back. This is ridiculous, we can't even eat trash in peace, we have got to do something. The flea head made sounds and the other guy said, you are right, why didn't I think of that, a junkyard, it has all the trash we can eat and metal and other parts to build things, we will have it back up and running in no time. The big guy walked them to it and the small guy flew up, perfect, I'll a new wacky weapon up and running in now time. Wait, what's that? In a moment Forever Knights showed up as Maurice said, weapons down people. We are mutants, we Earth-born, not aliens. The Forever King, the former science officer, yes, but, before he could say anything the smaller one was flying correcting something on the hideout's wall and he said, I am sorry, I am being rude. You seem like a smart gentleman able to help correct my errors. The bug guy said, yeah, this DNA weapon is nice and all but a bit bulky. Give me some time, we can downsize it and collect DNA to preform transformations, making it a bootleg Omnitrix, think of it. We could just use a ray cannon to preform transformations like the Omnitrix, we could all match Ben in combat with that. The king held his chin and said, I like how you think would too like to join. The flea head made sounds as the small guy said, yes, we have never been invited before, we are forever knights. Outside of Bellwood Ponyville showed up while many ponies were reuniting. Tiara and Silver were trying to make up to the Cutie Mark Crusaders, but the three fillies refused to believe their former bullies had changed. Apple Bloom then jumped when she heard something and turned to see guys in armor and two bug people. The three fillies were about to scream, but the two former bullies covered their mouths and whispered, SHSHSHSH supervillains. Tiara pulled out her phone to start filming. Maurice was smirking as he stood on a wheeled machine as big as a car with a gun on a tube. Now for the moment of truth, Sydney, hold still. He then fired and the larger bug brother became the alien Rush. Joseph clapped and said, well Bug, you did it. You created a bootleg Omnitrix. The bug smirked as he fired on Sir Morton, making him into quad. Smack as the smart bug brother. The animal tests show this last for only 10 minutes, so get that bank and its gold coins and hurry, he said, firing on the twin knights, making one into Crystal Fist and the other into Hot Shot. We aren't good enough to frame Ben, but it'll still throw the cops off. After all, forever knights as aliens, no one would believe it. Tiara then hit a send button while holding the Crusaders back as she whispered, sent Big Brother the video, he'll be waiting, so come on, let's move slowly and quietly out of the area. Without being heard. As they walked, Scootaloo let out a yell, and in a moment the Forever King pointed an energy blade at them. Four girls then looked to Scootaloo and said, what part of quietly did you not understand? The smaller bug brother flew over and spat slime on them, trapping the four as they shivered, and said, E. Silver Spoon shivered, gross, it's like a DN alien. Yuck yuck. It hardened into a web-like state as the bug said, there, they can't warn anyone now. Beside, ponies don't have tech, the villains left. Tiara was moving. Silver Spoon, hold still, I am trying to find your pocket knife. Meanwhile in the bank the four aliens came in to see Kevin having absorbed stone coming out mace-fisted. Only for the Crystal Fist to smash it with a fist, but Kevin grabbed his hand and absorbed the crystal and knocked him down with a headbutt. Rush then charged in, using his tail to stand as he rapidly killed Kevin's back, knocking him down and damaging the crystal. As he fell, Kevin gave a little spin and managed to grab Rush's tail, making a copy appear on him as he got up and hit the butt with super speed crystal punches. The bug was knocked out, but in that moment Hot Shot was throwing fireballs at him, only for Kevin to appear behind him, grab him, and in a moment Kevin's left arm was a match for Hot Shot. He used this power to shoot a fireball to knock down the forearms knockoff before using a crystal hammer to knock out the fire alien. He then charged with speed and jumped on the forearms knockoff, touching him, making him grow 2 more arms. The thing is, you don't have any skill with this powers, but I do. Crystal Fist got up and charged Mace Hands to try and smash Kevin, but he was now avoiding them with Rush's speed before he turned the Hot Shot hand into a flaming crystal mace to knock him down. Plus I can hold on to powers as long as I want, you guys have a timer. Rush then returned to being the larger bug brother, and he tried to run only for Kevin to appear and quickly punch him in the head, knocking him out. Crystal Fist and Hot Shot looked at each other, and in a moment the Hot Head fired off a fireballs while the Diamond Head knockoff fired off crystal spikes as they ran. Kevin raised a crystal wall and wait a minute before rushing out with super speed to grab the twin knights and slam their heads together, knocking them out. It's good knockoffs, I'll give you guys that. That leave the forearms knockoff to turn into Sir Morgan, who was quickly knocked out with a lower left hook. I can leave you guys to the local cops. He then head off with the super speed he got to somewhere else. Elsewhere the 5 fillies were running and screaming. Sydney was currently bootleg firing optic blasts at them, so I was wrong about 2 of them being locals in the 1900s. Errors are part of the job. The Forever King, who was currently Humongoraptor. They broke our machine, he said, grabbing Scootaloo, who was screaming. The bootleg of upgrades then said, so what? We have the backup plans and backup data on the 6 alien DNA samples we have. Can improve it. Till we are making true Omnitrix 1 Forever Troop. This was just a test run, he said, stretching his arms to grab Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle, and one that shows it works. Tiara and Silver Spoon then jumped out, tackling the dinosaur, using their Earth Pony strength to squeeze on his back, making him arc it in Pi Nan let go of Scootaloo. Moments later Kevin showed up and grabbed the back of Bootleg's head, making Kevin's back get the techno motor of it. And bug-like wings formed the host's DNA. The Bootleg's head turned around to look at him and fire a beam, only for Kevin to fire off his own beam to block it. The madman said, "Gee, look who's looking younger." Before long the fillies he had fell free and the beam hit the ground as he turned back into a bug brother. Kevin grabbed him and threw him to the ground to knock him out. Tiara and Silver Spoon then jumped off as the dinosaur turned to see, "Look at you, you have gained everlast power we have used other than this one." He then returned to being the king and said, "No. Kevin dropped his mutation, returning to normal as he touched a tree to absorb wood, and in a moment a wooden hammer hand punch knocked out the king. It was over as Kevin said, "Well, this was a flashback, a real trip down bad memory lane," he said sadly, returning to normal as the two young Maras that were his adopted sisters ran up and hugged him. He petted their heads, "Nice works breaking their bootleg omnitrix." Later on in the plumber lockup, Sydney was smiling as he was working on new blueprints. "We can improve on it. Before long I will have recreated Asmatha's MSTR work and proved I am close to his level. Can't say I am on his level as I am copying him after all, and mine will be limited, but at least it won't turn the wearer into a clone of Ben." He smiled as he got to it. Today was a glorious day. He and his brother were not jokes anymore. The Forever Knights back to being feared. As soon the Knights will have the power of BEN10. In their house Lucy and Jeez were in the bathroom giving little Kenny a bath in the tub. The little colt was currently on his stomach, his legs a little fish tail as he splashed around. Lucy smiled as she, "As cute as I figured. I wonder what is keeping Ben so long." The little guy seemed to recognize his father's name and stopped splashing about. Later on Kenny was in his grandmother's living rooms. He was dressed in a white shirt, green overalls, stacking building blocks on the floor while his grandmother's two pictures. He did not understand why they did it, but he did not seem to mind much. He was too focused on trying to get the fifth block on top to stay without it falling over again. Then it happened, his tower did not fall and he laughed and clapped. The grandmothers smiled and talked about how cute he was. That is when there was a knock on the door and Lucy went to answer. Lucy opened it to see Ben, who said, "Yeah, sorry, beside the sting operation some other stuff came up with Kevin and Rook and I had to bail them out of it." Lucy spoke up saying, "No problem. Kenny stopped messing with his blocks a while ago. He literally stopped playing the moment he heard his father's voice." The little guy dropped to his hands and knees and put a knee forward, then his hand, then another knee, then another hand, and he was moving. He smiled, he was moving like the big ones. Jessie was jaw-dropped taking pictures of the scene before her. Kenny took off like a rocket, crawling for the first time while her wife and his dad were too busy talking to notice. Kenny was soon over to Lucy and Ben, but they were still talking and not look at him. He start making baby sounds, but that didn't seem to work. He sat down crossing his arms frustrated. He grabbed his dada's brief legs, making him look down and say, "Kenny." He seemed stunned. Lucy then looked to the blocks where Kenny just was, to her stunned, taking pictures. "Wife, did he just, and did we just miss it because we were talking?" Ben bent down and sighed as he held the now happy little guy. Looks that way. He sounded sad. He just missed a moment in his son's life, a big one. Why not because he was out being a superhero, but because he was too busy talking with his in-law. What hurt the most was he was clearly the reason it happened in the first place. He sighed, taking Kenny to the car to hook him into his seat and take him on. "Jessica is not going to like this." "Hi honey, our son crawled, but I only know because he pulled on my pants leg when he got to me because I was too busy talking to one of your mothers." Sure enough, when Ben got home Jessica had her arms crossed asking, "How can you miss that while talking to an in-law? I thought the husband and the mother did not get along, so they won't have long conversations. But no, you get along with my mom so much you missed our son crawling." She then looked down to see Kenny had gone from the living room to their feet and she blinked, "And now I missed it because I was wondering how you missed it." She face-palmed while Kenny clapped, happy and clueless. Ben blinked and said, "Okay," abusing the Omnitrix. Within moments he turned into clockwork. In moments a green replay of Kenny crawling happened before them. There now we saw him crawl. Jessica crossed her arms. "Thank you Asmath, not what you had in mind for this thing, but at least I don't feel like a bad mother for missing this." A few days later. Kenny was sitting in front of the TV making cute little baby sounds as he played with his blocks when he saw on the TV his dad as water hazard shooting jets of water at some bad guy. He smiled and started making sounds like he was trying to say something. Behind him Jessica was cleaning something, by dusting it. In a moment the mother would drop the duster as Kenny went, ha 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 dea dot da dea dada. The mermaid jumped her going on one baby was crawling and just spoke, Kenny did you just say? The little guy pointed to TV and went, dada. When Ben came home Kenny crawled over to him like he had been for the last few days and sat down reaching for him as he bent down to pick him up. He was in for a big surprise as his son went, da da, and hugged his neck. Ben blinked as Jessica walked in with a book on when milestones happen in infants. Okay, he is a little early for this but he is a unicorn merman hybrid. But still what's next? The dad went to put Kenny in a playpen as he turned to talk to her, no idea honestly, they then heard a cry of, Dada Mama. Jessica jumped and turned to look at her son wide-eyed sparkling but her jaw dropped. He was using the edge of the playpen to hold himself up to stand. Within a few days the almost 1-year-old was talking crawling and now standing. He was just smiling as Ben said, we were here to see this one. Kenny looked to his blocks on the floor and in a moment his horn glowed green making the blocks hover towards him and he smiled and giggled. The parents blinked as Jessica said, all I am seeing is him doing that with knives when we aren't looking. Call your parents, get a magic jammer right the hell now, she said before fainting into her husband's arms. Ben blinked as he watched Kenny use magic to stack his blocks, all 10 of them, into a tower and hold them up. It would have fallen without the magic. The father then nodded as he said, yeah right away. A few days later Kenny was doing his standing with his hands on the coffee table. He had a black ring on his horn to stop his magic and Jessica watched as he took one sideways step then another and moved. Her jaw dropped. The kid was now walking and she said, and now he is walking. Kenny continued all the way to the end of the coffee table giggling happily at it, his tail wagging, unaware he was being a little speed demon. Ben was out and about Bellwood. He was crash hopper jumping from rooftop to rooftop looking at markings, come join the dark side, it said below a circus tent painting. He hopped and followed them till he saw the black and red circus tent in a parking lot being set up. He then hit the dial to say, relax grandpa, found it, it's just viral marketing for a circus. Nothing else. I'll go give them a ticket for vandalism at its lowest. He hopped down and timed out only to see the new Frightwig who held her hands out saying, well wow, this is legit Tennyson, she said holding permits. I got all the permits. I have done nothing wrong and thinking I have because I am Onomo's daughter. Ben crossed his arms, your spray paint ads were not liked by the building owners and files were charged, so yes you did something wrong Frightwig, you vandalized by the lowest, he said pulling out a ticket pad and handing her one, so you get a fine to pay off. Use the ticket sales, he said turning to leave. The freaky mare pocketed the ticket into her top and said, oh fine, I did that one thing wrong or my workers did. She then walked off to see the original right wig, Thumbskull and Acid Breath behind, then Zomboso. She then got into a stance. The newer one saying, I won't let you use my circus for evil. The original Frightwig had her hands on her peach, and what are you going to do? Sure you can fight me to a standstill but you are outnumbered. Moments later the alien known as Slapback, very small, was throwing themselves around onto Thumbskull, knocking him out with a back break. Hot hot. Ben said. As the aliens cartwheeled out of the way to avoid Acid Breath, as one of them still said, still have to pay the fine lady. The mare Frightwig start matching the original hair tendril to hair tendril, but that is when the original noticed something. The pony girl was stronger. The new Frightwig was soon able to grab every last one of the original's tendrils and use her to hit and knock out Acid Breath as she smirked, it's easy to forget but earth ponies like me have super strength lady. Zomboso then clapped as he pulled out what looked like a gun as he said, oh how you knock away my trio of freaks. He then ripped off his clone face to reveal nothing but a black void under it. So no point hiding my true nature anymore. The slapbacks gathered as Ben turned to Topik and said, eyes cover. He opened the cage but Zomboso clapped as he said, no eyes for the seeing Ben, not going to work. The clown reached into the void where his face was and pulled out a mallet to try and smash them. Frightwig the good one grabbed it and pulled it out to throw away. She was doing this for all the cartoonish things the clown who tore off his face was pulling out of there. Okay, what the freak are you? The clown then said, so glad you asked. He jumped to the top of the tent. It all started years ago in a circus like this one. I was put a young clown. I want to make children laugh. I honestly did. But then a rabid dog bit an elephant and rabid elephant on the loose. Guess who got their head stepped on? Ben hit the Dale to become the bear-like alien with a skull face and claws. The alien was purple, he was the darkness. The dark alien summoned out a shadow constructs of what looked like pure black skeletons holding pure black swords and shields to charge at the clown, who kept pulling out clone tools like a unicycle to block a sword, but I didn't let it stop me. I got back up, all undead, needing emotions to feed on. Only problem is, well, the emotions change with time. First I was joy. But then I lost to you by feeling fear. It became what I feed on. While there was chaos. A few months back I was strong. But now things are getting normal. And I might just fade away. As the clown spoke, he was going see-through as he cartwheeled away to the ground to avoid the summoned armored. So if I am going to go down, I want a grand finale. He pulled out a cannon and hopped it, and it fired high into the sky, where the clown exploded into a large firework in the shape of a laughing clown face. Ben timed out as he said, yeah, going to forget this happened anyway. Good luck with the circus, Frightwig. Nice to see you trying to be good. That is when Ben got pulled away by Paradox. He found himself in a place that looked like dust with ruins everywhere. With him was his 10 adopted sisters, as Paradox said, good you are all here. First Fluttershy, nice to meet you, I am Dixord's father, Professor Paradox. Ben raised an eyebrow as Fluttershy shocked the hand. Discord then said, well girls, anyway the planet is so hollow it doesn't count as Equestria anymore, so thanks to that loophole, welcome to what is left of home. You see, now here is the problem. Here in the Not Day Not Night band, the ponies aren't appearing anymore. The yaks, griffins, dragons, they all appeared on other worlds. Don't worry about them. It's the ponies me and my dad want your help with. Paradox put a gumball into his mouth. Yes, you see, now the problem is coming form the Tyrek. He absorbed the magic form, what was left, to stop the merging, and it's getting bad here. You all need to stop him. You 8 still have magic now, me and DC are out of here. We are not crazy. He then vanished. Discord growled, I told you not to call me that, Dad. He then popped away like a bubble. Fluttershy blinked. And what are we going to do? She asked, arms crossed. Twilight sighed as she said, we all still have our magic, so clearly we are bait. We hang here, he comes to us as some kind of giant. Ben goes way big, then ultimate to match and knocks him out. Bing bang boom, he wins. We are all back home before noon. So Ben can go change, play peekaboo with Kenny. Ben nodded as he said, well, that is an easy plan, I guess, he said, looking around at the ruins of what was once a city now overgrown with mushrooms. So how long do we wait for him? Rainbow Dash looked at her digital watch. Don't ask me. I didn't change the battery, now it only works in light. Too dark or not enough light to work it. And she looked to the day side of the planet with was one fire, not going over there. Pinkie Pie pouted as she said, I want to do that joke, she said, pouting about it. Applejack rolled her eyes. Yeah, that's like bring my bow home to meet Granny, not going to go over well. Rarity was looking at her compact as she said, I think we have all outgrown what is left of this world, ladies. Oh look. My makeup in my compact is shaking a bit from the ground. She closed it. Up above them now was Tyrek, now ultimate, way big sized. He opened his mouth and sucked up their magic. In a moment Ben turned into way big before going ultimate to land a left hook to his face. Okay, let's do this. Ultimate way big was in the air, avoiding magic shots fired by Tyrek as he held his hand out to throw an energy disc back. The massive centaur summoned a magic dome around himself to protect as he laughed, get back here and fight FIR. Ben looked down and said, since when does a bad guy fight fair? He crossed his arms to fire his comic ray down below, shattering the dome and knocking Tyrek back. Ben then flew down, landed and grabbing the downed bad guy by the horns and throwing him onto the burning side of the shattered husk of a world. Pinkie Pie was watching with her sisters, each those spy glasses she had kept hidden before they arrived on Earth in case of spyglass emergencies. So how much you want to bet Ben gets this done in under 10 minutes? Applejack had hands on her peach. Us bet next week's plumber pay check on it. Rarity was looking at it to see Ben was rapidly striking the downed bad guy by stomping on him. Yeah, sounds about right. Fluttershy noticed Tyrek about to fire an energy blast, so Ben jumped back, giving Tyrek the moment need to get up. He's not done yet. That is when Rainbow Dashed watched Ben fly at high speed and land a punch to his gut, making Tyrek turn green and hold his chest as he slid back. I think he is done. Twilight's left twitched. I think we are in the splash zone without powers. In a moment the giant centaur threw up rainbow slime. As the slime came out he shrunk. As it hit the ground it turned into light and flew off, restoring magic to their rightful owner. Rarity shivered as magic returned to her. Gross, my insides are throw up, she shivered. Fluttershy was watching, unable to look away. I don't want to watch, but I can't look away. It just keeps coming and he keeps going. Wait, some of it isn't flying away. Twilight removed the sky glass from her eye and closed it. Well, to be fair, look around at this point, any location not arriving somewhere else probably has a lot of dead. A lot of magic has nowhere to go and is going to stay a glowing lake of vomit in a burning land. Oh, that's gross, she said, shivering. Ben meanwhile timed out as Tyrek returned to being a weak old man. Ben looked through his aliens before becoming Snarrow. In a moment a few bandages stretched from his hands, giving him 2 cat o' nine tails. The alien used them to give a double cross swing for 8 then WHP strikes at once, knocking out the bad guy, and stay down, he declared before switching to heat blast to handle the heat of the burning land and forest. God damn, it's hot. That is when Twilight showed up, doming herself and her sisters as she said, yeah, but what about the magic lake? It's vomit, but it's pure magic. Ben shrugged, but before they could think about it the area shook and was covered in light. Before long it was raining. The sky above told them the location appeared on Earth. They looked to be on a mountain top. Putting the lake on top of some mountain. Pinkie Pie sniffed and said, peaches, I smell them. Not any kind. We are 3 states over from home. By a lake of magic. Later on the plumbers were roping off the area, equipment being dropped and ready to study. Blukik was using a long ladle to get some of it. This is crazy, let's just do a test already. Dryba was putting down a cage with a lab rat and he said, test subject read. In a moment they poured the pure magic on the rat. Moments later the rat's eyes glow as he hovered himself with magic. The bars of his cage bended through magic as the rat flew away. Dryba held his chin as he said, now that is something you don't see every day. I heard of flying squirrels, but magic rat. That's just wacky. Blukik point to the lake. Yes, but can you stop focusing on the shorthand? This simple test shows anything that touches that CRP will get magic. It's a give you superpowers lake, for crying out loud. Make of glowing rainbow magic vomit. No one ever would have thought that would ever needs to be said, he said, holding his chin. Hobble then sent the information to the base and in moments he said, okay, the higher-ups want us to drain the lake. Drain it and contain the liquid. Dryba then looked at him, makes sense, wait, what if it can affect machines too? He then pulled out a cell phone and threw it into the lake. Within moments the cell phone hovered in the air and went up and up. Dryba looked down, should not have did that. But oh well, makes machines float. We can't drain it. Blukik was pointing to the edge with now was above the lake, but it already is draining. See, it was even with ground, now it is lower than ground, showing it is draining somewhere else. Probably into an underground natural waterway. Oh, he said, grabbing his face. Dryba was running around screaming with the guy he hated, this is horrible, it's a disaster, the waterway ties into 5 towns. 5 towns are about to all get superpowers from their water. Hobble then held his hand and said, yeah, that's bull. So how fast is it draining? Dryba looked over the side with Blukik. The water ring was lower, noticeable ring left behind formed after 2 hours after arrival. And it's what a foot. Blukik rolled his eyes and said, looks more like 11.5 inches to me, but let's just average that to about an inch every 10 minutes. Dryba looked to him and said, fine, that's fair, but he shook a fist, but we don't know how deep it is to put that into any use to know how long before it is drained. If it affects machines, no telling what we can use. Hubble rolled his eyes and pulled out a yardstick and stuck it in. Plastic yardstick is 3 foot long and it's on the bottom. Dryba held his chin and said, why do we have that? Oh well, not looking a gift in the mouth and questioning it. It's about a foot lower and that's about a foot not covered, so about 2 hours for a foot, so about 4 hours till the lake is gone and its drip gives powers to towns, connect to whatever underground waterway it is dripping into. Blukik then held his hand up, a lot more math than I thought when the subject is magic lake of centaur vomit. Again ew. And never something anyone thought they would say, let alone hear be said. Dryba then looked to Hobble, lock down the state. Like them down. We need to lock it down. And figure out who is going to get magic, what is going to freak out, and how many new evil wizards and witches this will be. Blukik then point to him, all thanks to a centaur throwing up. Again, never thought I would be saying that. I mean, what the F? Well, at least Gwen goes to collage in this state, so we have her and Kevin. In Gwen's collage, Rarity was walking around wearing a black trench coat and detective hat over her normal. She was sent to blind in and monitor the magic use in the state. So far she was seeing students doing lazy things like hovering candy while eating it instead of holding it. This is a bit of a waste. Gwen could do it. That is when she saw her and Kevin and waved, oh cousin Gwen. That is when Gwen pointed to something in the outside class, a charm of bezel, and Rarity crossed her arms, and how did it come back? In a moment Morningstar showed up using his magic to pull at them, him holding it. You lot know nothing of this charm's power, he said, holding it as he fired off his dark energy. Rarity and Gwen were quick to shields as Gwen shifted to her anodite form. Kevin touched the ground to absorb stone and jumped, tackling him with hammer hands. Dark Star, make a black energy shield. The charms are made to be broken, you fools. Ever break they restore, filling and releasing magic so more could use it. Their maker want them to bring about a new golden age, but soon regenerated it when he saw people abusing magic. To the point he swore off magic no matter what. Moments later Zed jumped out, grabbing the charm from him and running to Gwen and put it on. In moment ti glow anodite purple and she waved her hands, knocking Dark Star away with a burst of magic wind. Rarity adjusted her hat. I guess that means he wants the charms to keep him looking pretty by draining them of mana and waiting for them to refill. Gwen held the charm and in a moment 5 arrows appeared. The other 5 or 4 are here, well I should say 5. She said, pulling out the keystone. It was flowing. I held on to it as a luck charm. If I had known it would recharge, I would have used it all along. In a moment she put both charms into her energy right arm, where they seemed to fuse in and vanish when she returned to human. Kevin blinked as he petted Zed. That seems like a good place for them. Okay, you can sense the other charms, lead the way, Gwen. Before long they were running all over the school. Kevin came out of the boys' locker room holding the luck charm. It was stuck in the shower drain. You will be paying for my therapy, he said, flicking it to Gwen, who grabbed it, making it vanish. Gwen smiled as she said, an officially lucky girl again. She said happily as they group moved alling. Next one was Zed climbing a tree to dig out a charm with his teeth. With he spat out covered in slobber. It was resurrection. Gwen waved her hand to make it become clean before grabbing it and making it vanish. Okay, that's half. The next one Rarity found in the art room, she said. Pyro was in the oven for baking clay. How fitting. It's almost like a smart guy hide this. She handed to her cousin, who absorbed it. Kevin then counted and said, correct me if I am wrong, lighting is the only one left. They heard a storm outside. They raced off to see Dark Star in his handsome state, saying, yes, I can feed on endless lighting. To stay handsome, yes yes, ha 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 ha. But in a moment the charm on his chest stopped with a snap. They then turned to see the janitor, who held out his hand as the charm flew off Dark Star and head to him. Yeah, nope. Didn't want this to be used for evil. I embezzle, but you probably figured when I turned off the charm and it returned to maker because of that. The old man then walked over to Gwen and handed it to her where it turned back on. You use magic for good, you keep this thing. I have vomit to go clean up. The old man then walked off with a mop. Gwen blinked as she said, an almighty janitor never would have figured that. Rarity adjusted her detective hat. I pride myself on detective work but couldn't have saw that. Dark Star roared as he waved his hands and made a portal open. I still have enough power to bring Charmcaster's realm here as a backup. As the portal opened, Charmcaster walked out, arms crossed, pissed. Gwen truce. The anodite turned into anodite form, the charms all on her arm. Truce, let's hurt this JRK. Kevin looked away as screams were heard. Rarity cheered, yes, wreck him. Wreck the woman hater. Break him. Geld him. Zed ran at the word, as did Kevin. Later on, Dark Start had a rune on his head stopping him from using his powers, and he was cuffed. Gwen as lucky girl smiled as she threw him to the cops. Don't worry, he can't use his magic anymore yourself as long as the tattoo isn't altered. The cop then said, gee, altering a tattoo in the big house. That's pretty easy. He'll need to put a metal lock band on his head or something to make it harder. Now come on, you zombie looking BSTRD, get in the car. Meanwhile, in the courtyard of the collage, Charmcaster was showing off the little mini tiki thing she turned the guy who killed her dad into. Isn't he just cute like this? You can almost forget he was an evil man who killed billions, she said, tickling it. Kevin blinked and said, yeah, that's not creepy. I think you need to get out of that place more. You are losing it, Hope, he said, spinning his left index finger around his head. Rarity nodded as she said, yes, very much so. Zed walked up and in a moment said, Riri Roosh Razy Rady. He then blinked as everyone jumped. The dog blinked, Ridri Rust Rack. It said it clearly had a speech problem, but Kevin said, well, you have been drinking the magic-filled water from the tap. So the thought you could get a magic power makes sense. We have a talking space talk. With a speech impediment, but yes, he said, jumping for joy. Dreams come true. Gwen walked up and saw Kevin doing a stupid dance and she asked, what is he dancing about? Zed looked at her and went, re-ran rack. Gwen jumped at it. Hope laughed as she pointed, ah wah, it's a cute little freak. She then petted him saying, yes it is. Yes, it's a cute little freak of nature. Who's an adorable abomination you is. Rarity blinked as she said, a talking dog, that's just crazy, she said, arms crossed. In London or under it, Jessica was walking with Ben Kai and the Forever Knights. Maurice sighed, we had to leave my brother behind, he covered our tails, we have got to get this right, he said, wearing a backpack connect to a gun, and don't try the shape-shifting CRP, Ben, my pack lets us to that dude just down the tunnel to the sword of the King of England. Ben crossed his arms and looked to Kai, last time I come to your aid, I mean, do you have any idea how worried we are about Kenny? The Forever King, who was still human, came along. While her grandfather's find of the hide formula was nice, we have no need for it. We have the backpack for super strength to fight aliens toe to toe, but what we need is Excalibur. It's why we let him go. When this is over, you are alive, MS Green, you can pick him up at the palace. He shot him with a sleep dart, he is napping on the sidewalk by the gate. They then came to it, the sword in the stone. Marus smiled as he fired Sir Morgan, making him turn into Humongoraptor. The dinosaur tried to draw the sword only to turn to smashing the mystic rock, but it won't move. The king looked to the bug hovering with his wings. We are applying science to magic. I am a scientist, not an alchemist. Alchemist mix both magic and science to bend the rules of both. The magic lock must still be intact, we need one who is worthy. Well, we have a young hero and his wife. And some random bee we took a guide. Kai crossed her arms and the king ordered Ben to go try and draw it, and Ben pulled at it, but it won't. The dinosaur alien said, it won't work, he is being made to draw it. He isn't drawing it to protect anything. The king looked to the temporary dinosaur alien, and why did you fail? The transformed knight said, we want to kill with it. Not defend a territory. We want conquest, not defense. Maurice then pointed the gun at himself to turn into Crystal Fist as he fired at the twin knights, making them Undertow and Wrecking Bolt. Crystal Fist then fired on the king, turning him into Bashmouth. As he said, then let's make him want to protect something, fight till he draws the blade. Bashmouth roared, but a barrier formed around his head as he fired his sonic roar, knocking himself out. Ben smiled as he turned into XLR8, I learned magic buddy. He then ran to move Jessica and Kai out of the way of the other ones. Undertow fired water shoots as the raptor smashed the ground to knocking XLR8 into the air right into the bath of the water stream. Knocked into a wall, Ben became Big Chill just in time to phase through and freeze Wrecking Bolt. Okay, that's 2 out of 5 fakers. Crystal Fist fired off shards as he said, yeah, but the ladies are helpless, Tennyson. In a moment the ladies ducked and Jessica's hand grabbed the sword and it came out in her hand as a light entered the room. Jessica was holding the sword and gave it a slash, sending off an energy shock wave that knocked back the knockoff Humixor. Did I just become the Queen of England? Ben was hovering, breathing ice at Undertow as he said, doesn't matter to me, you will always be my princess. Crystal Fist charged hands morphed to blades as he said, smooth, real smooth lover boy. He slashed at Jessica only for his crystals to shatter on the sword. I hate magic. A moment later she turned the sword sideways and used it as a bat to knock him out with a blow to the back of the head. Kai was shaking in the corner. Ben turned into Humungosaur and before going ultimate to fire missiles at the faker, knocking him back and out, he roared, "No fakers." He then hit the dial to become clockwork to open a portal out, all leaving now. Jessica shouldered her new sword and walked out with Ben's EX and her husband and smiled at Kai Green as she said, yeah, you messed up, you couldn't see the man that boy could be. She grabbed Ben's arm as he opened another portal home and walked through. Kai Green looked to her left to see her grandfather and she said, a unicorn is not a man. You only see what I see, an alien you want to cuddle lady. How little did she know she was very wrong. Meanwhile back in Gwen's collage. Rarity was on the phone with Rook while walking around. Well, they were so touched. Ben, Zero's sister, helped them out. I got a free scholarship and took it up. The state is locked down, I might as well make the most of it and be the only one of the siblings to go to collage. Rookie Bear. How are you doing? She said, opening a door to a dorm room. She laid down on the bed smiling as she listened. Oh yes, sister wants to be a plumber too. Well, good, when she leaves she can stop by here and we can give her a red spot welcome form, a lot of higher ups and a legend, my big brother. She then said, kisses. She hung up and sighed, collage girl. Me. Thought it would have been Twilight, but she is trying to get into an alien one. And keep striking out on her get-in tests. She then felt the ground shake and looked over to see a down having formed in the woods. She used magic to see far. It was a lake splitting a down. One side looked like a medieval Gothic village filled with bat ponies in old-time dress. Across the bridge were the Diamond Dogs cousins, the Wavelite wolves, and more ragged patched-up cloths in what looked like a cabin in the woods kind of town. She ended, oh hollow shade, she blinked as she said, this will be a fun one. Oh, what's this? She looked at a picture of Jessica holding Excalibur. The unicorn blinked before sitting down to look at it. Does this make her and Ben the King and Queen of England? Because she would be the queen for drawing it. She married him, making him the king. Which would make her mothers and our parents queen mothers and king fathers, Kenny the prince and us duchess and our boyfriends dukes to be. She held her chin at the thought before shaking it off. No, Rarity, you are past that. You learned form blue blood, you are a big mare now, who knows better? No one wants that title. Not even the two sisters. Meanwhile in the lockup Luna and Celestial was being let out, their horns and wings unbounded. Celestia then blinked, any chance we can get another month? You don't know how horrible it is being a magic princess running a kingdom. All the tropes as you call them. Luna then rolled her eyes. I got forced to play evil sister, for crying out loud. I had it worst, you at least got more of the good tropes. And have had a more dates the NME. Celestia rubbed her arms, we are down to slow aging in this low magic world. As soon as that colt that is head over heels for you is an adult, you'll be a cougar ready to strike. You will get a husband while I am the untouchable son. You'll get better in the long run as some pony is waiting to ask you out. Literally just counting his birthdays till he is 18, 4 more to go. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 6. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author jboy44 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.